Hello everyone, I'm Beastly Eel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest two episodes of The Bad Batch. So this was the last two-parter or two-episode release that we'll have for this season. Obviously this will be the series, the series finale, um, not just the season finale this year. So in these two episodes, the first one gave us a look into the Empire, specifically Emery and her taking on the role that Nala Se was in. So during this, we see her basically realizing what's inside the vault, and I can promise you it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting to see starting clones of Palpatine, and that's not what we got. We got a bunch of young creatures who are Force sensitive. So it looks like they are not as far along on Project Necromancer as I originally had thought. So apparently they're trying to figure out if they can even clone beings who are Force sensitive to keep that Force sensitivity in their clone. So that's kind of where they are. So we get to see um, the young. I hesitate to call them younglings because realistically we don't know for sure if they're going to be Jedi or not. But the big thing here is the fact that they are definitely young creatures who are Force sensitive. And we see that they all just want to go home, and their DNA is being taken and trying to be used with the clone DNA to see if they can have some stability. Emery starts talking with them, and the head doctor basically explains to her that I wouldn't get too close to them. They are subjects after all. She's a little taken aback by it, but whatever. During this whole thing, we also have Cad Bane hunting down another target, specifically a infant with the ability to be force sensitive. So Cad Bane comes in, takes out Dad, takes the baby, and brings them to the Empire. During all of this, Emery is basically begging to be the one to see to make sure that the child is safe. The doctor wasn't really too thrilled about it, but in the end, he kind of finally agreed to doing so. So, because of that, he decided that it would be best that she go. Mostly, in my opinion, it was to shut her up, personally, but hey, let's move on from there. So she brings him in, realizes that unfortunately he's accurate in the sense that he is a force sensitive child, and that Cad Bane will be getting his money. She takes the creature in, brings him to the vault, and they continue their experimentation. During this time, one of the children tries to escape. He fails. Emery wanted nothing more than for her to talk him down, and the stormtroopers decided instead to stun them and take him out. So it's because of that, Emery starts to really question her viewpoints. So she goes to Nala Se to speak with her and try to explain what's going on. So Nala Se realizes, based on the questions she's asking, that she's taken her job and basically states that, hey, you have all the power now. You can do a lot more than you think. And that's all she says to her. And so Emery kind of just walks away dealing with her own thing and realizes that Nala Se is pretty accurate. The reason why I say it that way and not full out like, oh, she's 100% accurate, mostly due to the fact that Nala Se doesn't say a lot, but she doesn't verbally say a lot, but she says a lot with the few words that she says. Basically, meaning that Emery has more power than she realizes. She just has to know how to use it. So, Emery goes out. She gets the doll from Omega's room and brings it to the red youngling or the red child with that is force sensitive because she started to build a bond with him and he wants nothing more than to go home. So she gives him the toy. And what we see there at the end is Emery being at the top of the control room by herself, watching as the force sensitive child takes the doll in and enjoys its time together. So it's interesting to see what happens next on that piece. It seems like Emery is leaning more towards Omega's side than the Empire side, especially after this episode. So that leads us right into the next episode, which leads us to V, who is Tech's love interest at one point, being tracked by Ghost. So the Ghost Trooper goes inside her ship, hacks her system, her navigation system to be specific, to see if he can figure out where she goes all the time. So he was able to bypass her security codes and her, how do I want to phrase this, her, I guess, firewall is the best way to put it, and is able to get the location that he is looking for. He then lets the Empire know, and the Empire basically explains to him, "You figure it out, and if you're accurate, let us know, and we'll head to your coordinates." So he agrees. So he takes off in his ship with his new information. V, on the other hand, thinks something strange, but continues on doing what she was doing because, in her mind, even though she felt like somebody was around, there was no reason for her to be concerned that she could see. So she goes on her merry way. While the ghost makes it to the planet where the Bad Batch is, and he decides to hatch up a plan. So during this whole time, the Bad Batch is getting ready to leave the planet because they're afraid that how do I want to phrase this? Their stay on the planet is going to cause harm to all the people there. So they start beginning to pack up. Well, the Ghost Trooper calls in some reinforcements, and he is ordered to ground all of the Bad Batch. So during that, he decides to blow up their ship, which knocks out Wrecker, and they then have to figure out what they're going to do after this. So they get Wrecker, bring him up to the mountaintop, specifically to try to make sure that he gets the help that he needs. During all of this, we have Crosshairs and Hunter figuring out what they're going to do. So their plan is going to be that they're going to commandeer a cargo ship from the Empire because the Empire is now here, and they're going to take it and get out of here. So Crosshairs' job was to keep Omega safe and Wrecker, while Hunter was going to secure a ship. So Hunter goes, grabs a ship. The Ghost Trooper is able to shoot down the pilot of said ship before Hunter could take it over, brings it down into the water, and leaves Hunter useless until he gets back to land. So Crosshairs is starting to take out troopers. During this time, Omega explains that the only way they're going to get out of this is if she surrenders herself. Crosshairs disagrees. She explains that she's going to use a tracking device so that way they can communication device so that way they can find her after they are captured. He thinks there's too many variables in play and that's not going to work. She explains that if her communication device is taken, you'll be able to put a tracker on his ship before it takes off and you'll still know where we need to go. He's still not for it, but Omega decides to do it anyway. She has the communication device, she goes over, turns herself in. During that time, they search her. They don't fully search her, though. They scan her and say that there's a device on her, a tracking device. She pulls out a device and gives it to the Ghost Trooper. I'll explain why that's important later. Or why potentially it could be important, I should say. So, that being said, we now move on from this. So she's then being taken hostage and being brought into his ship, specifically the Ghost Trooper ship. So that's when Crosshairs begins to try to get a vantage point to be able to put a tracking device onto the ship. Well, during this time, he's being attacked by multiple stormtroopers. He has to take them out. He's able to do so, but not easily. And unfortunately, when she gets on the ship, it's about to take off. He opens fires and fires the tracking device, and unfortunately, it takes off before the tracking device actually latches onto the ship. And the tracking device falls into the water. And this is where it's very important, is that Omega is in the ship, and it looks like she has something else in her jacket. And that, my friends, is how the episode ends. So they're definitely alluding to the fact that Omega outsmarted the Ghost Trooper by specifically making sure that she had an extra tracker on her so that the Bad Batch would be able to find her. The next episode for sure is going to be the aftermath of this, probably the Bad Batch having to fight the Empire because they refuse to leave the island, or it's going to be the Bad Batch just hunting down Omega. Either way, I feel like there's going to be an episode before they actually start their pursuit, personally. But we'll have to wait and see. So let me know what you guys thought about these episodes down below. Did you like them? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.